All right, this is going to be my last Yap video on Little Nightmares 3. I promise. I'm going to do this video, I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to get to the lore videos, I swear. But I just wanted to revisit the video that I made over the weekend for a number of reasons. The first one is that your reaction to this video actually really surprised me, and I think that's worth discussing. The second one is there were a couple of points that I didn't make as clear as I think I possibly could have in that first video, which is, you know, the danger of not scripting your video. This one is also not scripted. But yeah, there was a couple of things I didn't make clear enough. And I know it was a 40-long-minute yap, and I need more time to yap. I'm aware. Okay, just let me yap. Okay, let me yap. But I've also since then played the Reanimal demo, and unfortunately, after playing that demo, this whole situation has just got more complicated, and it kind of highlights all of the problems that I had with Little Nightmares 3. So first of all, if you didn't see, I made a video over the weekend and it was a review of Little Nightmares 3. Review might be a little bit of a stretch. It was more like a 40-minute long rant, and most of it was pretty scathing. That video, I wasn't particularly kind to Little Nightmares 3 because I was personally very disappointed by Little Nightmares 3. Now, I want to say, first of all, and before we get into my points that I'm going to make, I'm going to reiterate this once again. If you like Little Nightmares 3, if Little Nightmares 3 is genuinely your favorite Little Nightmares of the series, great. I'm not telling you that you're wrong. I'm not telling you that you can't think that way. And anyone that tells you you're wrong for thinking that way is an idiot. Just in the same way that for all the people that don't like Little Nightmares 3, and there's a lot of them, anyone who tells you you're wrong is also an idiot. You're allowed your different opinions. People like and dislike different things, and that is totally okay. But I am going to sort of tackle this weird internet phenomenon where people get mad at other people's opinions and then try to like stop them saying those opinions because they're mean. We're going to have a grown-up conversation about how business works today. But I want to make a few things clear. This is something that I didn't really make clear in my first video. First thing is I actually like supermassive games. I didn't really mention this that much, but I do. I like supermassive games. Now, I know not everybody likes the games that they create, and part of that is because the games that they create are generally pretty much just all interactive movies. Now, the Dark Pictures games, The Quarry, and all of these games, they are essentially a horror movie that you get to be in and make choices. And they're all very formulaic. They all use the exact same formula, but I still like them. I like every single one of these games. I've enjoyed them. I know some people don't like that style of game, and that's totally okay, but I do. And I want this studio to be able to keep making these games and keep going. And so when I tell you that I want Supermassive to succeed, I mean it. I'm actually looking forward to, is it Directive 8020 or 2080? I think it's 8020. I'm looking forward to that one, and I hope that game does really well, right? I really, really do. And on top of that, because I like these games, I don't think that Supermassive are bad at their jobs. Now, when the game Little Nightmares 3 was originally announced, it was going to be developed by Supermassive and not Tarsier Studio, there were a bunch of people saying, I'm not interested. If it's not Tarsier, I'm not interested. And I was one of the people who said, you know, maybe give them a chance. I mean, it's your money, you do what you want with it, but I'm going to give them a chance because I love Little Nightmares. It's one of my favorite series, and you know, maybe a new studio could be a breath of fresh air for it. Maybe they could do something different with it. And so I'm going to give them a chance. Knowing all of that, when I tell you that Little Nightmares 3 was my biggest disappointment of the year so far, then that should tell you something, all right? It's not that I hate Supermassive. It's not that I don't want Supermassive to succeed. I want nothing more than Little Nightmares to be as good as it was previously. And in my opinion, this one wasn't. And something else that I didn't make super clear in my previous video is that if you were to take Little Nightmares 3 as a standalone game, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't a trash game overall. If you were to take Little Nightmares 3 in a vacuum, if you were to pretend that Little Nightmares 1 and 2 didn't exist, I would have said, yeah, this was a pretty neat experience. I pretty much enjoyed it. But unfortunately for me, and unfortunately for Supermassive, Little Nightmares 3 doesn't exist in a vacuum. Little Nightmares 3 exists alongside Little Nightmares 1 and 2, and people are going to compare it, and it's very unfair, as it might be unfair for me to say, well, you know, it doesn't hold up to the previous games made by someone else, it's also unfair to expect people not to compare it to previous games. So they decided to call it Little Nightmares 3. They decided to market this as the third installment in a very beloved franchise. And this is where most of my problems come with it, is that it's just nowhere near as good as what came before it. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story, and this one might upset some people, but this is a real story, okay? When I was at university, I was studying psychology, and we had a professor that said something that I will never ever forget. And what he said was, if you want to make yourself look skinny, surround yourself by fat people. He said it, his words, not mine. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? He was the one that said it. But what he was saying had an element of truth to it. If you're like, look at me, I'm a chubby guy. Listen, look, I got belly, right? I got belly. I get it, okay? I understand. But what he was saying is that if you're like me and you're a little bit chubby, if you stand next to people that are way bigger than you, you will therefore look skinnier. The whole point of that is that our perception of something does absolutely depend on what it's being compared to. And many people's perception of Little Nightmares 3 is being compared to two legendary games. And again, that might be unfair, but that is life. That is life. And again, don't come at me, okay? I'm a chubby guy. I didn't say this. This was my professor that said this, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. Now, there's been some debate, and a lot of it's been on Twitter and Reddit. You know, the place is full of normal people, sure, right? Yeah, the normal people. But anyway, there's been a lot of debate, and there's been a lot of people trying to defend Little Nightmares 3. And what I find really interesting is that this kind of ties into the reaction to my video over the weekend. Now, I was expecting some pushback to my video over the weekend. And the reason why I was expecting some pushback is because on Steam right now, and yes, I know Steam is only one of the platforms, but it's the only one we can really see, you know, the reviews. On Steam right now, 48% of the reviews are positive or recommend the game, and 52% of the reviews are negative or don't recommend the game. So that is still, even though that is way worse than Little Nightmares 1 and 2, because both Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are in the 90% positive range, which means, again, whether you like it or not, this is objectively the least liked Little Nightmares game. But despite that, that's still a roughly 50-50 mixture of people recommending it or not recommending it. So when I made a video saying that this game was underwhelming, I didn't particularly think it was a great Little Nightmares game, I was expecting my comment section to be a 50-50, you know, ground of people agreeing and disagreeing. But that's not the case at all. It's not the case. Now, I'm going to be honest, I was expecting a lot more pushback, and I just didn't get it. 95% of the comments on that video are either flat out agreeing or saying, okay, I like the game, but I can see where you're coming from. Or I like the game, but it's not as good as the first two. Or I like the game, but I did have several problems with it. Very few people are outright disagreeing. And you can see this by the like to dislike ratio too. Let me have a quick look at it. Now, I'm not saying this to brag, okay, because who cares? But my video did get 73,000 views. That's a significant number of people tuned in to watch that video. And it has a 96.6%. Again, remember, I was very scathing in my review of Little Nightmares 3. I was very, very critical, very negative, whatever you want to say. And yet that video has had nearly 5,000 likes, and it has a 96.6% like to dislike ratio. Now, again, I'm not saying that to brag. What I am saying is that with a video, whenever you put a video on the internet and you have an opinion, you are going to make some people mad. If you say anything about anything, if you say, I like waffles, there's going to be some people who'll be like, well, pancakes are better and you're an idiot. It's just how the internet works. So whenever you have an opinion, you are going to get some pushback. Doesn't matter what that opinion is, you're going to get some people who disagree. And a lot of the times, if somebody disagrees with your video, they'll just dislike it, right? I don't think that's how the dislike button should be used, but that's how a lot of people will use it. And I know this because on my DLC channel, when I made a video saying that I didn't particularly like the Elden Ring DLC, as a massive fan of Elden Ring, I found the Elden Ring DLC a little bit crap. I got so many dislikes on that video because I got so many people saying, oh, just get good, bro, get good. The game's not for you. Even though I finished the DLC before I said that I didn't like it, but whatever. But do you see what I'm saying? I was expecting that video to be a bit more controversial. Now, I didn't make it because I was expecting it to be controversial. I've already had a couple of people saying that, oh, you just made this video to farm clicks. Why would I make a drama video about Little Nightmares to farm clicks when some of my Little Nightmares videos, a few of them, are in the millions of views? I don't need to make the drama to farm clips. I would genuinely, hand on heart, I swear to you, I would rather right now be making lore and secrets videos about Little Nightmares 3 than making a I didn't like Little Nightmares 3 rant. Okay, I promise you, the majority of my content over the last 5 years has been lore content, and it's only since Silent Hill F and Little Nightmares 3 that I've started to actually give my opinions about stuff. But I would much rather be spending today working on a secrets or a theory video. But as it stands, I think this needs to be said. I think it needs to be said. And for those people online who are trying to defend this game, and I've seen some opinions online on Twitter of people saying we should be grateful for Little Nightmares 3. No, this is a product we paid money for. I paid money for this, and I have an expectation that this product is going to deliver what the previous two games delivered. And as I said in my review, it doesn't deliver that. And I'm going to prove it again in a minute. Now, I am aware that what I said was a little bit mean, okay? The things that I said. Now, I stand by every single thing I said in that video, but I understand the things that I said were a little bit mean. And I'm a human being. I'm a creative. I understand that there's a chance that somebody from Supermassive maybe watched that video and it may have been really shitty to watch that. Okay. And if that is the case, again, I'm sorry. I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I'm just telling you how I feel about the product that you've made. And I think that you can do better. Now, this is what makes me laugh. Is for the people who are defending the game, for the people who are saying that we're just haters or whatever, even again, remember, the majority of people who reviewed this game on Steam aren't recommending it. So if you're saying that it's just a small minority, you're just objectively wrong. But for the people who are trying to defend the game and saying they're sick of hearing the hate, they're sick of hearing all of that, what I'm going to tell you now, I think is very important for you to understand. When a game flops, and this game is in quite a few ways a flop, especially compared to the first two games, what that means is that the next game isn't going to sell as many copies. And I don't actually think that Little Nightmares 3 is going to sell as many copies as 1 and 2, because there are a bunch of people who've already watched playthroughs who've gone, I don't think I'm going to buy it. I've just read my comments. There's a bunch of people who, you know, have read the reviews online and gone, I don't think I'm going to buy it. There's a lot of people who have played the demo and gone, I'm not going to buy it. So I don't think Little Nightmares 3 is going to do as well as Little Nightmares 1 and 2. And Little Nightmares 1 and 2 are already very niche games, by the way. But what this now means is for all the people that did buy Little Nightmares 3, I think a bunch of them are not going to buy Little Nightmares 4, or are going to be extremely hesitant to buy Little Nightmares 4 because they have felt disappointed. And so if they believe that Little Nightmares 4 is going to be similar to Little Nightmares 3, they're less likely to buy it. And if you think that my words in my last video were mean, maybe they are. But do you know what's more mean than hurty words? Financial reports. And unfortunately, this is the world that we live in, where people, if they don't like a game in a series, a lot of them will just switch off because they have so many other games out there that they can choose from. And people don't have unlimited money. You know, this was more expensive than the previous two games, and people don't have unlimited money. So they're going to be less likely to buy this fourth one. And this is not what I want. I don't want the game to die. I don't want this series to die. And for the people who are just blindly defending it, saying like, oh, well, I liked it, so everyone else is just stupid or wrong. You can say what you like. You can cope as much as you like. But a less than 50% recommendation on Steam, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that potentially will not buy the next game. Now, in my last video, I provided a bunch of examples about why I think Little Nightmares 3 failed for me. And just a quick summary was that the gameplay was just pretty solid like it was in Little Nightmares 1 and 2, but people don't really care so much about the gameplay. What people, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, but what most people are looking for with Little Nightmares is the world, the characters, the story, the environmental storytelling, the creepiness, the weirdness, all of the little hidden things and so on. All those little things that people come to the game series for. And that was what was lacking in Little Nightmares 3. Now I'm going to show you a concrete example. And as I said before, I have now played the Reanimal demo, and this might be a really spicy take, but I enjoyed the Reanimal demo more than I enjoyed 95% of Little Nightmares 3, the full game. But after playing that demo, it's even more obvious that the glaring flaws of Little Nightmares 3 are there. So let me show you what I'm talking about, right? So you're gonna have to excuse me, this is just my terrible Photoshop skills. But this right here is one of the rooms where you find a collectible in Little Nightmares 3. And this is a room that you've got to go off the beaten path to find it. And then once you do find it, inside is a collectible. That's cool, collectibles are cool. But what do you notice about this room? Put it in the comment what you notice about this room. It's empty. This room has, apart from this one little collectible, which fine, this room has nothing interesting inside of it. It's got some pipes, and that's it. There's nothing. It is devoid of any character, of any world building, of anything. Now let me give you a second example. This room is actually slightly better, because it has some candles that are lit in it. But this is another room that you have to go off of the beaten path to find this little collectible. Now this room has some candles on cans. Get it? Candles. Ha ha ha. But yeah, sure. Okay. Who lit the candles? Why are they lit? You know, fine. But apart from that, there's nothing else in this room. There's nothing in this room that is interesting aside from the collectible, right? Now, let's compare these two side rooms to two side rooms from the Reanimal demo. This side room is a side room where you can find a collectible. This is a hat. You can't see my cursor. Just imagine there's a cursor there. This is a hat that you can find, right? And around that hat, again, this is a little secret room you can find. Around that hat is a body with its guts hanging out. Now, this body, you can only see the feet, but you can see that whoever this was, they crawled through this pipe for some reason. Did they crawl through the pipe, or did someone stuff them in there? Were they trying to crawl away from someone, or were they trying to crawl towards someone? These are all the questions that my brain is asking right now in this room. Another question, why is this bathroom hidden behind a locker? That makes no sense. Things like this, little things that make this room interesting, and you compare that to this room, which has nothing interesting in it whatsoever. Let's take another room. This room is another little secret room. It's not super hard to find, but you might miss it. But it's a little secret room, and you go in there, and all it has is these little statues, and you can light the candle. Why? Why are we lighting the candle? Are these rabbits? I think they're rabbits. But why do they look like this? Why has somebody got little statues of rabbits? Are they worshipping the rabbits? Is there a little rabbit cult? What's going on? Again, this room is making me ask questions. Compared to this room, which, yes, I do wonder why the candles are lit for sure, but there is no real point to this room. This room builds the mystery. This room does not. Now, the reason why this is so egregious to me is because Little Nightmares 1 and 2 did this so much better, right? There were so many little side rooms in Little Nightmares 1 and 2 that were full of little weird and interesting things. But what makes this so egregious to me is that it would have been so easy to make this room more interesting. And you want to know how easy it is to make this room more interesting? Watch. This room now has a rat on a stick. This room is found in the candy factory, okay? Now there's a dead rat on the floor with a stick hanging out of its mouth. Did this rat eat some candy and die? Or did somebody turn this rat into candy? Immediately, there is something interesting in this room, and it doesn't have to be anything mind-blowing or groundbreaking. It's a goddamn rat on a stick. But that would have been something cool to find in this room, and that took me 5 minutes in Photoshop. Yeah, sure, okay, actually putting it into the game would be a little bit more complicated. Absolutely. Okay? But what I'm saying is, from a conceptual standpoint, having a rat on a stick in this room would have made it 10 times more interesting. It would have made me ask questions and think about the world and think about the lore. And again, they could have done so many things with the candy. The candy's gross because it's made out of berries. Okay. But like, they could have done so many things in little rooms like this to just make the world feel more interesting and more weird. Let's go back to the other example. Okay. Here we have this vent here. Now we know that somebody was here before. Now we know that somebody tried to escape this room. Maybe they succeeded. Maybe they didn't. Maybe you could show later on in the chapter, you could show somebody climbing up one of these. And again, this is, you know, Little Nightmares 1 already did this. This is just a quick off the top of my head example, but this is what you could have done. You could have done little things like this to make these rooms more interesting, to make them feel like somebody has been here before, to make them feel like there's a point to them. Without this, there is no point. Without this, there is no point. You could delete this from the game and nothing would be lost. So there, concrete examples of why you should pay attention to those little details and how they can have a big effect on the game. Now, as I said, this is going to be my last yap video. I'm not going to be yapping anymore about Little Nightmares 3. I think objectively, Little Nightmares 3 is the worst one in the series. The community agrees with me, whether you like that or not, whether that makes you sad or not, that is just a fact. And again, if you like the game, great, I'm happy for you. But after playing the Reanimal demo and being absolutely blown away by the demo, for the simple reason that the Reanimal demo gave me what I wanted from these types of games. It has hidden things all over the place that you can go and find. Bunch of hidden rooms. There's a hidden shadow child you can find locked in a cage for some reason. It's like a wooden box for some reason that looks like one of the characters that's still alive. So that's got me theorizing already. Having collectibles that you can pick up and wear, which again is a tiny little thing, but it's cool. Having all of this world building and environmental detail that's making me so interested to find out what's going on in this game, and having no idea what's going on in this game. All of these things the Reanimal demo succeeded at, and that demo has made me super, super excited for the game. And after playing the Little Nightmares 3 demo, I was not excited for the game. And after playing the game, I'm not particularly impressed by the game. So, Supermassive, if they ever get a chance to make a Little Nightmares 4, I think they should, and I hope that they do better. I hope that they take my feedback, even though, yes, my feedback might be mean. Okay, it might be mean to say it. I hope that they take that feedback as someone who genuinely loves this series, who genuinely thinks they can do better, and that they do better. And it's funny, for all the people who are defending the game, for the people who are trying to say that we're wrong and that it's great and it's amazing, not one time have I heard anybody who's saying this is the best Little Nightmares, not one time have I heard them tell me why. Not one time have they given me a good example of what the game does better. All I've heard is, this is Supermassive's first try at making Little Nightmares. Well, you know what? Tarsia's first try at making Little Nightmares was excellent, and the community, rightly so, say it's excellent. So, first time, that's not an excuse. But also by saying it's Supermassive's first go, you're kind of saying that you don't have faith in Supermassive, right? You're telling me that Supermassive aren't going to do it right on their first go? Why not? Why not? And something I didn't really talk about is that, I don't know, maybe Supermassive, they're struggling with layoffs. Maybe they just didn't have enough time to make the game as good as it is, and Bandai was forcing them to get it rushed out. They didn't want to pay more development time. I don't know. But you know what? My honest opinion, I don't care. Most customers do not give a crap how the sausage is made. They care about that the sausage is made and that the sausage is tasty. And if the sausage isn't tasty, they won't buy any more sausages. I don't care what the problem was. It needs to be fixed. And if that's Supermassive leadership, if it's a CEO, investors, or Bandai Namco, I don't care. It's not my job to care. My job is to play the game, to give you my money, and to enjoy it. That is my job. Most people don't care what the problems are. They care that the product is good. So yeah, that's it. What's my video mean? Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I was mean, but I'm never not going to be honest. If I'd have loved the game, I'd have told you that I loved it. And as it stands right now, all I can now do is hope that Reanimal is as great as the demo, because if that is, that'll be a game that I can theorize over for years and years to come, where I think people are going to move on from Little Nightmares 3 incredibly quickly because most people didn't even enjoy the game. So why are they going to enjoy lore videos? We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how well my 10 things you might have missed video does. You know, we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. There we go. Those are my opinions. I am going to, once I do this video, I am going to go and make some lore content on the game. But yeah, Supermassive, I think they can do better. I don't think they're a terrible studio. I really, really don't want anyone to feel bad, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat my opinions. And yes, I do think that Supermassive need to do better. If we get a Little Nightmares 4, it needs to do better than a 48% recommended. There we go. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.